Galen's female secretary is pregnant. At the 9th anniversary celebration banquet, he brought her home. He casually gave me instructions. The girl is picky about food. The 3 meals a day in the future should not be repeated. She is timid and needs someone to accompany her when she sleeps. Pack your things and move to the guest bedroom. I didn't say anything. I took the luggage that I had already packed and walked calmly towards the gate. The butler tried to dissuade me, but the man sneered and said, "Let her make a fuss. Anyway, she will slink back within 3 days." Hearing this, everyone laughed. In front of me, they bet 10 million. They bet that I would cry and beg Galen to let me in like a lackey before the night was over. But they didn't know that the Maybach arranged by that man was already waiting outside the house. This time, I'm really leaving. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Just as I was about to walk out of the villa gate, Galen suddenly called out to me, "Megan, leave your peace bracelet behind. Nina has been having nightmares recently." The bracelet was a relic left to me by my parents. Meeting my red eyes, the man was very cold. "Name your price. How much is the 9-year marriage that is as humble as mud worth?" I'm too lazy to calculate. I only know that the consequence of refusing to give my goggles to Nina at the ski resort last time was that the man stripped me naked and abandoned me halfway up the mountain. I took off the peace bracelet and put it on Nina's hand. I said to Nina, "I wish the child in your belly to be safe and sound." Hearing this blessing, Galen unexpectedly gave me a way out. "Megan, as long as you are obedient, my child will be yours." As soon as the man finished speaking, the bracelet on Nina's hand suddenly slipped off and broke. Seeing that Nina's leg was scratched, Galen picked her up like a princess. He sternly ordered the butler to call the family doctor. The man's anxious appearance made everyone present look at me mockingly. I also found this scene ridiculous. Not just them. Last night, when I had a heart attack, Galen was about to go out to accompany Nina to see the meteor. Even though I foamed at the mouth and fainted on the floor, the man still stepped over me without changing his expression. Before losing consciousness, I heard him tell the butler, "Have the whole living room disinfected. When Nina comes home tomorrow, she must not smell anything bad." Holding the luggage handle tightly, I turned around and was about to leave, but the man coldly grabbed my wrist. "Apologize." "What?" Before I could finish speaking, he dragged me to kneel at Nina's feet. My knee rubbed against the fragments of the jade, staining the white floor red. Seeing the bloodstain, Galen showed disgust and let go of his hand. "You played a trick and broke Nina's bracelet, and you made her get hurt. Don't you think you should say sorry to her?" After marrying Galen, the words, "I'm sorry," became my mantra. The soup I cooked was too bland. "I'm sorry." I sent a message because I was worried that he would feel uncomfortable when he was drunk and disturbed him. "I'm sorry." I accidentally saw the message that Nina sent to invite him to the hotel and violated his privacy. "I'm truly sorry." Biting the meat in my mouth, I resigned myself to standing up straight. I bowed 180 degrees to Nina. After apologizing 3 times, I looked at Galen indifferently. I asked him softly, "Is that enough?" Staring at the blood at the corner of my mouth, the man's chest visibly heaved. "Megan, the old man you relied on isn't here. Who are you pretending to be pitiful for with this disgusting look?" Before I could reply, the family doctor arrived in a hurry. Galen pushed me aside and led the doctor to Nina. When he was full of Nina in his eyes, I quickly walked out of the door. As soon as I walked out of the villa, I heard the honking of a car. Seeing the silver-white car outside the iron gate, I couldn't help but quicken my pace. However, before the iron gate opened, 2 bodyguards suddenly appeared and forcibly took me back to the villa. In the study, Galen tied me up. He ordered someone to insert a needle as thick as a child's arm into my arm. Through the half-open door, I heard the doctor say to Galen, "Mr. Galen, both Mrs. and Miss Nina have Rh panda blood, but Mrs. has a history of heart disease since childhood. Forcibly drawing blood is likely to cause acute shock. I think it's better to go to the hospital first and then give Miss Nina a blood transfusion for her anemia." "Don't try to persuade me," Galen said coldly. "Your only task is to make Nina recover. As for other things, I know what to do." Hearing Galen's approaching footsteps, I slowly closed my eyes. "Does it hurt?" the man said with rare comfort. "Just bear with it for a while. The blood draw will be over soon." I turned my head away, too lazy to talk to him. After drawing 800 milliliters of venous blood, my lips turned purple. At this time, Nina, who was lying in the master bedroom, suddenly coughed. Hearing this, Galen immediately pressed the doctor's hand that was about to pull out the needle and asked him to draw double the amount of blood. The doctor told Galen with cold sweat on his head that if he continued to draw blood like this, I was likely to die. After hesitating for 2 seconds, the man just said, "Nina is pregnant. Everything should be for the pregnant woman." But, I interrupted the doctor's dissuading words. "Draw the blood. Let me leave after you're done." Looking at my bloodless face, Galen's eyes were full of cold anger and he opened his mouth. He was about to ask me if I had had enough of making trouble. Could it be that I really wanted to run away from home for such a trivial matter? Nina said sweetly, "Brother Galen." He was immediately drawn to her. 2 days later, when I opened my eyes after being hospitalized due to shock, I saw Galen who was reviewing the documents. Our eyes met for a long time, expressionlessly. He brought a bowl of porridge and tried to feed me. I shook my head. "I'll do it myself." After watching me finish half a bowl of porridge in silence, Galen asked me, "Is there anywhere you feel uncomfortable?" I answered irrelevantly, "Please give me my phone." Perhaps because my tone was too distant, Galen was stunned for a few seconds before contacting the butler to bring my phone. Glancing at the many missed calls on the phone, Galen suddenly asked, "Who called?" He never used to ask so many questions. A trace of annoyance flashed in my eyes, and I just said, "You don't know them." Unbuttoning the top button of my shirt, Galen looked down at me coldly. "Megan, how long are you going to act like a spoiled young lady? Just because I gave you some leeway, you really think you can do whatever you want?" In the past, when Galen was angry, I would reflect on myself and try my best to appease him. But now, I just pointed at my phone which was vibrating and told him expressionlessly, "Nina is looking for you." Hearing this, there was a smile in Galen's eyes. Habitually, he avoided me and went to the hospital corridor. As soon as the man left, my phone rang. I answered the call. Before I could speak, the person on the other end of the phone said anxiously, "We agreed that you would come to find me." "Megan, do you regret it?" "No, I didn't regret it. I just encountered an accident." "An accident? What happened to you?" "I must come back in person." Interrupting the person's chatter, I lowered my head and pursed my lips. "Just give me a few more days." When Galen returned to the ward, I just finished the call. Sensing the smile on my lips that he hadn't seen for a long time, the man felt a strange tightness in his chest. But he had just promised Nina that he would go back and sing a lullaby for her and the baby. So he didn't have time to ask me who I was talking to on the phone. Presumably, it was my cousin who often came to see me. After all, after marrying him, the people in my social circle were only my female relatives. Taking the documents, Galen said coldly without looking back, "Megan, there's something wrong with the company. I'll come back tomorrow." The next day, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that, the man didn't show up. However, thanks to our mutual friends, I kept receiving videos of him and Nina. He took Nina to banquets and dinners, like a young man in love. He couldn't wait to introduce her to everyone. On the day I was discharged from the hospital, Galen posted to Instagram, "At sunset." He stood on a romantic hot air balloon, held Nina's blushing face, and kissed her affectionately. I commented, "I wish you two an early birth of a precious child and everlasting love." 10 minutes later, Galen called me. I didn't answer. Half an hour later, after handling the discharge procedures alone, I saw Galen and Nina at the door of the obstetrics and gynecology department. I heard the little nurse at the consultation desk say to Nina, "Ms. Nina, your husband really dotes on you. He accompanies you every time you come. When you had the B ultrasound examination, he was afraid that you would feel cold with the coupling agent. He personally warmed it up before allowing us to use it on you." Hearing what the little nurse said, all the pregnant women around showed envy in their eyes. Subconsciously, I stroked my abdomen. I remembered that there was once a child here. On the day I had a miscarriage due to a car accident and lost blood, I called Galen crying on a video call. But I saw Nina naked. Mrs. Sie. Because Mr. Galen lost a game to me. He is tied to the bed and being punished by me. What do you want from him? I didn't say anything and hung up the video directly. Less than a minute later, Galen called back in person. He hugged Nina, whose eyes were red with grievance, and cursed me for being petty and extremely stupid. He also said, "An idiot like you who couldn't even keep her own child. I'm really curious what you can do. Megan, you might as well get hit by a big truck and die." Pulling back my thoughts, I was just about to take a detour when Galen walked over with a cold face. "What are you standing there for?" Lowering my eyes, I instinctively explained to him, "I'm not following you. I really just happened to meet you. I'm sorry for disturbing you. Wait. When Galen frowned and said this, a trace of jealousy flashed in Nina's eyes, tightening her hold on Galen. Nina smiled at me. Mrs. Sie, I'm especially grateful to you for giving me a blood transfusion. Without you, I would still be dizzy now. Brother Galen, please let Mrs. come home with us. Okay. Galen doted on her and tapped Nina's little nose. The kindest pregnant woman in the world. Whatever you say goes. I was about to go back to get my luggage, so I didn't refuse Nina's kindness. In the spacious black car, as Nina wished, I soon found a lace panties with the marks still wet in the crack of the carriage. Why is this thing still in the car? Brother Galen, didn't you tell me you had dealt with it? Biting her lip, Nina got into the man's arms and playfully hit his chest with a shy face. Galen smiled and apologized to Nina, saying it was all his fault. At the same time, he observed my expression subtly. When he found that I wasn't angry at all, the feeling of boredom in the ward that day unexpectedly hit his heart again. Megan, you've been looking at your phone since you got in the car. The man's tone was unfriendly, as if he was jealous. Are you chatting with your cousin or someone else I don't know? After booking the flight ticket, I turned off the phone screen. I'm just browsing the news. Hearing what I said, the displeasure between Galen's eyebrows became even more obvious. When I wasn't prepared, he snatched my phone. He asked me in a deep voice what the password was. It's my birthday. We've been married for 9 years. With such a simple 6-digit number. The man kept entering it until the phone showed the lock screen. But he still couldn't open my phone as he wished. All the way in silence. We arrived at the destination. As soon as the car stopped, Galen helped Nina, who was suffering from pregnancy sickness, to the master bedroom with a sad expression. Then he asked the cook to make the food that Nina liked. When going downstairs, the man saw my lonely back as I walked towards the guest room. After thinking for a while, he said to the cook, make 2 more dishes that Mrs. often eats. Prepare 3 sets of tableware for dinner. In the guest room, I opened my luggage and was surprised to find that all my clothes were cut to pieces. Fortunately, the passport and other documents in the inner layer were not damaged. When I gathered the documents and was about to leave, Nina blocked the door. She held a black bottle in her hand and looked at me with disdain up and down. Megan, I didn't expect you to be so tolerant. You've been insulted and become the joke of the upper class. But you still cling to Galen's house and refuse to leave. That's right. The old woman in your Megan family just died of illness last month. Without this big backer, you have to hold on to Brother Galen as a life-saving straw. After saying this, Nina suddenly remembered an interesting thing. Megan, you cried and begged Brother Galen to drive a helicopter to send you to the hospital to see your grandmother for the last time that day. Do you know why he refused? Because he promised to take me to the beach to watch the sunset that day. Look, this photo of us kissing on my phone screen was taken at that time. I slapped Nina's phone away. I couldn't bear it anymore and grabbed her neck. The bottle in Nina's hand accidentally slipped, and I immediately smelled a pungent gasoline smell. During the struggle, Nina, who was in a hurry, lit the gasoline on the floor. Smoke filled the air, and the fire was raging. I had just been discharged from the hospital, and soon I was choked and lost my strength, collapsing on the floor. At this time, I heard Galen's voice, Megan. Following that were the voices of the servants trying to stop him. Sir, it's too dangerous inside. You can't go in. Wait until the security guards bring the fire extinguisher. Get out of the way. Megan is still inside. After all, the man rushed into the house regardless of the danger. But he didn't expect that Nina was also inside. Brother Galen, save. Before Nina could finish speaking, Galen picked her up without hesitation and left without even looking at me. Half an hour later, after calming Nina down, the man searched the entire villa but couldn't find me. Late at night, at the airport, after sending the express delivery, I coughed and boarded the flight to the UK. Just before the plane took off, I received a text message from Galen. I don't have time to play hide-and-seek with you. Nina has a prenatal checkup at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. You come along and get your lungs checked too. I didn't reply. I pulled out the phone card and turned off my phone. Galen, from now on, we'll never see each other again. The next day, at the hospital, Brother Galen, is our baby okay? Meeting Nina's pitiful eyes, Galen immediately hugged her and replied softly. The doctor said the baby is healthy and wasn't affected by yesterday's accident at all. That's great. I saw that you had a serious expression and didn't say a word since you came into the hospital. I thought something was wrong with our baby. Nina's unintentional words made the man stunned for a moment. In his mind, he couldn't help but think of my cold eyes looking at him in the raging fire. Frowning, the man opened his phone mailbox again. He was annoyed that I didn't reply to him with even a single word. Clearly, no matter how coldly he treated me in the past, I always responded to his requests. Now, she's learned to act high and mighty. With a sneer in his heart, Galen carefully escorted Nina out of the obstetrics and gynecology department. He accompanied her to have lunch, sent her home safely, and then went to the company. As soon as the man entered the office, he heard his male subordinate report that Galen's grandfather had returned to the country and summoned all the management to the No. 1 conference hall for a meeting. Hearing this, Galen turned towards the conference room and casually ordered his male subordinate, "Buy me several of the latest designer bags and trendy jewelry." The subordinate immediately said, "Yes, Mr. Galen. I'll arrange for someone to buy them right away and send them directly to Miss Nina's place." Galen stopped, pinched the bridge of his nose, and said, "Send them to Megan's old family house." In his opinion, after leaving the villa, I couldn't have any other place to live except Megan's old family house. One late night a week later, Galen, who had finally finished his project, got home and saw a slender figure in a silk nightgown curled up on the living room sofa. "Megan, I've told you many times, I'll come home when I'm done. You don't have to." When he walked closer and saw that the woman on the sofa was Nina, Galen's mocking complaint stopped abruptly, stared at coldly by the man. Nina couldn't help but shiver. Her expression was both aggrieved and pitiful. "Brother Galen, Mrs. hasn't come back for a long time. I sent her a lot of messages to apologize, but she ignored them. Otherwise, I'll move out." Seeing that Nina was about to cry, Galen frowned and hugged her. He perfunctorily kissed her forehead and told her to take care of herself and not think too much, whether Megan accepts it or not. "From now on, this is your and the baby's home." Half an hour after saying this promise, Galen, wearing a bathrobe, leaned alone on the open-air balcony and smoked. He had quit smoking for a long time, but for some reason, he couldn't help but want to smoke tonight. On a whim, Galen swiped his phone. At the bottom of the contact list, he saw my phone number. His thumb hovered over the dial button for a long time. After smoking 2 cigarettes, the man didn't choose to make the call. Instead, he sent a warning message. "Megan, tomorrow is Grandpa's 80th birthday. I advise you not to play any tricks at the birthday banquet and cause trouble for Nina and the baby in her belly." On the day of Galen's grandfather's birthday, Galen and Nina attended the banquet in a high-profile manner, looking like a loving couple. It wasn't until Galen's grandfather entered that Galen let go of Nina's hand and walked to his grandfather's side to entertain the important guests. "Why didn't Megan come with you?" Facing Galen's grandfather's pointed question, the man pursed his thin lips and rarely defended me. "Sorry, Grandpa. Megan has been busy preparing a congratulatory gift these days. I saw that she was really tired, so I let her rest and told her to come later." 2 hours passed quickly. The most important gift-giving and birthday congratulating part of the birthday banquet had come, but I still didn't show up. Suppressing the growing unease in his heart, Galen walked to the corner, took out his phone, and dialed my number. "Hello, the number you dialed." Not giving up, he redialed, but still only got the mechanical busy tone. At this time, a courier walked into the banquet hall. He delivered the 3 gifts I sent, under the curious gazes of everyone. Galen's grandfather smiled and opened the first gift. It was a vividly embroidered picture of the gods congratulating on the birthday. It was obvious that I had spent months working on it. Touched, Galen's grandfather opened the second gift with tears in his eyes. It was the family heirloom jewelry that Galen's grandmother gave me when Galen and I got married. The moment he saw the jewelry, the whole room fell silent. In the upper-class family circle, the woman returning the ancestral gemstone, everyone knew what it meant. Before Galen's grandfather could react, Galen, with a face as black as coal, secretly clenched his fists and walked in front of the third gift. As I had expected, the man, with a face as cold as ice, personally opened the last gift I prepared. The box was big, but there was very little in it. There was only a divorce agreement and a medical report. Galen was stunned. "Divorce? I actually want to divorce him. How could this be possible?" After seeing what was written on the medical report, Galen's grandfather slapped Galen hard in public. "You beast. Look at what you've done. If I had known this, I shouldn't have let you marry Megan. You've ruined her life." Galen, seeing that Galen's grandfather was so angry that he almost fainted, Galen's family quickly helped him away. After everyone left tactfully, Galen still stood there, motionless, looking at the divorce agreement in his hand. After a long time, he expressionlessly tore the agreement to pieces, ignoring Nina's cries behind him. He took the keys from the driver and drove to Megan's old family house himself. Unfortunately, the old house was pitch black inside and out. He rolled down the car window, stood guard at the gate of the courtyard, and smoked all night until his throat was sore and his voice was hoarse. But Galen still didn't wait for the lights to come on. It wasn't until 5 days after the birthday banquet that he found out that I had gone abroad. Why did I go abroad? Did I really not want to see him? He just made a mistake that all men in the world might make. Why did Megan say she wouldn't see him and insist on getting a divorce? He didn't agree. He wouldn't allow it. After spending a lot of effort to find out my specific place of residence, Galen immediately booked the earliest flight. Without going home or taking his luggage, he went straight to the airport from the company. Just as he was about to check in, Nina, with tears in her eyes, found him. Brother Galen, don't you want me and the baby? Glancing at the woman's belly, Galen touched her head and said, I've asked my assistant to prepare a new place for you. You can move there today. Hearing this, Nina's tears welled up. I'm willing to live in a dump as long as I can be with you. But our baby is innocent. Brother Galen, if Megan really loves you, she should treat our baby as her own. Instead, she deliberately messed up Grandpa's birthday banquet and made you and the Galen family lose face in front of others. A person like her. Before Nina could finish venting her grievances, the man with a cold expression couldn't help but interrupt her. Who are you to judge my wife? Nina, I thought you were sensible. But now it seems that you haven't put yourself in the right position. Taking the boarding pass handed to him by the staff, Galen looked down at Nina coldly and said to her, no matter how many children I have outside, Megan will always be my only wife. By the way, when you leave the villa, you must take all your things with you. I don't want Megan to lose her temper with me again when she comes back and sees something related to you. Nina, with tears streaming down her face, stared blankly for a while and then cried and laughed at the man's back. Ha, Galen, I didn't expect you to be more naive than me. You've hurt Megan so deeply. How could she come back? It is said that women know women best. But Galen, striding away, didn't take Nina's words to heart at all. He knew his wife. In the past 9 years, no matter how angry Megan was with him, as long as he seriously apologized and bought her some gifts she liked, he could always coax her. But then again, this time, Megan was so angry that she even printed out the divorce agreement. Just buying some ordinary gifts definitely wasn't enough. After thinking for a long time, as soon as Galen got off the plane, he found a local tattoo parlor. He took out a design drawing that I sent him 5 years ago and said to the tattoo artist, I'm in a hurry. I don't need anesthesia. 7 hours later, Galen, wearing a blood-stained white shirt, walked out of the tattoo parlor quickly. He bought gifts worth tens of millions and 999 pure white roses. Galen, who hadn't closed his eyes for almost 48 hours, tirelessly drove to a vineyard on the outskirts of London. On the highway, he nervously and excitedly rehearsed the perfectly designed apology process in his mind over and over again. However, no matter how he assumed and calculated, the first words he wanted to say to me were always the sincere, Megan, I miss you so much. Finally, Galen found me in a foreign country, but the flowers in his hand suddenly fell when he saw me. As the sun was setting, I was hugged by a tall and handsome man, with a contented smile on my face that he had never seen before. I flirted with that man and fed each other sweet and sour fresh grapes. Galen couldn't say the words, I miss you. He just stared stupidly and asked me, who is he? Sensing that my body was a little stiff, Joseph silently tightened his arms around me. You must be Galen. Right. I've seen your wedding photo with Megan. TSK. I didn't expect you to be uglier in person than in the photo. Seeing that I was no longer nervous because of Joseph's teasing and was chuckling, Galen's chest felt as if it had been punched hard. He couldn't help but clench his fists until his nails pierced his palm. Out of politeness, I'll introduce myself since you came all the way here. I'm Joseph. Megan's. Joseph. I see. You're the son of the driver adopted by the Megan family. You're that ungrateful person who was kicked out of the Megan family by Megan's grandmother for being dishonest. Raising his eyebrows indifferently, Joseph wasn't easily provoked by Galen, but I frowned protectively. Galen, brother Joseph isn't like what you said. Why are you here? It's illegal for you to break into this private manor without permission. Hearing that I was chasing him away, Galen's face turned extremely pale. For a moment, he completely forgot that he came here to coax me home, not to quarrel with me. Megan, I came to find you in person. Please stop acting like a child and come home with me obediently. Home. I looked at Galen like he was a fool. I asked him, did you hit your head in a car accident? We're already divorced. Didn't you see the divorce agreement with my signature? Although the probability of the express delivery being lost is small, it's not impossible. Just as I was thinking of reprinting a divorce agreement and asking the man to take it away, I heard him say brazenly, I've already torn that ridiculous divorce agreement to shreds. Megan, I know what you're angry about. I've dealt with Nina's matter. I can promise you that she won't show up to annoy you from now on. Galen stepped closer to me and raised his hand to touch the face he had been thinking about day and night. However, before he could touch me, I pushed him away first. My tone was very calm. Mr. Galen, when my family was in trouble, only your family offered help. In the 9 years since I married you, I've been trying my best to repay the favor. Now that Nina is pregnant with your child, your family finally has an heir. I sincerely wish your family of 3 happiness and safety forever. With these words, as smart as Galen was, he couldn't help but realize that I was determined to leave him. At this moment, the man was completely flustered. Wife, why are you saying such things? Did you only stay with me for 9 years to repay the favor? Do you think I would believe such a clumsy lie? No, of course he wouldn't believe it. If I didn't love him, why did I act coquettishly and ask him to kiss my cheek every time before going out? And why did I cry until my eyes were as swollen as walnuts when he was sick and having an operation? And I stayed outside the operating room like a fool, refusing to leave no matter who tried to persuade me. I clearly loved him so much. I loved him so much that anyone with eyes could see how deeply I was in love with him. But what did he do? The more obedient and tolerant I was with my eyes full of love, the more unscrupulous he was in humiliating my dignity. He forgot that people's hearts are made of flesh. After experiencing so much pain and becoming numb, gradually, I won't let myself fall anymore and waste my feelings. Forcing out a smile uglier than crying, Galen looked at me with red eyes. Megan, I really didn't know that Nina's existence would make you so sad. It was just a one-night stand with her when I was drunk. I brought her home just out of a sense of moral responsibility. After she gives birth to the child, I'll let her immigrate and leave. Okay. I firmly shook my head. Galen, I don't care what your relationship with Nina is. You just need to know that I have a new life here and it's impossible for me to go back with you. So you should leave quickly. What new life? You, in a fit of anger. Galen, who hadn't slept for 2 days and had lost a lot of blood from the tattoo, felt dizzy and fainted into the darkness before he could finish his sentence. When he woke up again, it was 11 o'clock at night. Seeing a glass of water sent by the servant beside the bed, Galen, who had a misunderstanding, couldn't hide his joy and walked out of the room. He endured his physical discomfort and tried to find me. But when he came to the rooftop on the top floor along the spiral staircase with cold sweat on his forehead, what came into view was the tender scene of me passionately kissing Joseph. His heart tightened sharply and hurt. Galen's pale lips curled and he rushed up, grabbing Joseph's collar and growling, "What are you doing to Megan?" Up to this point, Galen couldn't deceive himself anymore and regard Joseph as just my nominal big brother next door. "Who allowed you to touch my wife?" Joseph was amused by him. "Your wife." Galen, did you really cherish Megan as your wife? You. Before Galen could continue to make trouble, the hot-tempered Joseph punched Galen in the left face. "Galen, if it wasn't for Megan's kindness, I would have thrown you, a beast, outside the manor to be fed to the wild wolves. I'm telling you, Megan is my fiancée now. No matter how persistently you harass her, she won't even give you a second glance." Hearing this, Galen put down his fist that was about to fight back in a daze and looked at me in disbelief. "Is what he said true? Megan, it's been less than a month since we separated, and you agreed to someone else's proposal." I didn't tell Galen that as early as the day I found out Nina was pregnant, I had agreed to the solemn proposal from brother Joseph, who had loved me since childhood. Via an overseas video call, I just lazily leaned on Joseph's broad shoulder and hummed in response with a half-smile. Galen said in a trembling voice, looking absurd, "Megan, are you crazy? You are my wife. I haven't agreed to the divorce at all, but you turned around and got together with another man. How dare you treat me like this?" "Why not?" I slightly tilted my head and blinked leisurely. "Is your agreement something important to me?" "Galen, you think too highly of yourself. I'm telling you for the last time, you mean nothing to me." It's really over between you and me. After saying that, ignoring Galen who lost his soul in an instant, I interlocked my fingers with Joseph and turned around to continue enjoying the moon and chatting. No one knew when Galen left the manor, and no one cared. But he didn't go back to the country. Instead, he bought a high-rise building near the manor from which he could overlook the grape plantation. Besides having remote video conferences with the domestic management, his daily routine was to drive to the iron gate outside the manor, holding flowers that were always different or the things I once mentioned to him but he never gave me as gifts, waiting for me to show up. I neither paid attention to him nor changed my plans to go out because of him. The 9-year humble and misplaced marriage taught me one thing. Women should never change their life direction to accommodate men. Work when it's time to work and socialize when it's time to socialize. The world is vast, and I'm only responsible for making myself happy. As for Galen, I think the reason he clings to me and refuses to let go is definitely because Galen's grandfather can't bear to part with me and has repeatedly ordered him to ask for my forgiveness. So I personally called Galen's grandfather and told him that I already have a fiancé and a new life, and asked him not to force Galen to stay in the UK doing useless things just because he feels sorry for me. However, for a whole month after I made that call, Galen unexpectedly still stayed at the gate of the manor, just to take a look at me from a distance through the car window. The first one who couldn't hold his temper was Joseph. Late at night, after Joseph and I attended a party, we saw Galen standing under the streetlight with the same white roses in his hand. As soon as I got out of the car, tens of thousands of rainbow fireworks suddenly burst into the sky behind me. Joseph had watched the video of Galen proposing to me countless times in a self-abuse way. Back then, I was so dizzy with the gorgeous fireworks in the sky and happily agreed to Galen's proposal. Now, seeing that I was distracted by the fireworks, Joseph, who lacked a sense of security, finally couldn't help rushing in front of Galen and fighting with him angrily. Galen, you shameless mistress. You just want to seduce my fiancé to take a look at you all day long. I've never seen such a sticky person like you in my more than 30 years of life. If I'm a sticky person, then what are you? Megan and I were together for 9 years. If it wasn't for her losing the ability to have children because of the car accident and being unable to get pregnant, I would never have agreed to let Nina give birth to the child. I'm telling you, Megan just has a misunderstanding about me. She reluctantly accepted you, the eternal backup lover, because she thought I really cheated on her and didn't love her anymore. After I coax her to calm down, she will break off the engagement with you and come back into my arms immediately. Hearing this, Joseph laughed coldly and punched Galen to the ground in a rage. When I lost the child in the car accident, Joseph dropped all his work and came to me directly. He took care of me without taking off his clothes until I was discharged from the hospital. At that time, Galen, using being busy with work as an excuse, actually bought 2 tickets to Prague Square and accompanied Nina to have fun and visited the whole tourist city. No matter how I tried to stop them, the 2 men were still fighting inseparably when 2 foreign policemen happened to drive by. One of the policemen looked at Galen and immediately got out of the car to stop the fight. Without asking any questions, he took the 3 of us to the nearby hospital. As soon as we arrived at the hospital, I, who was concerned about Joseph throughout the process, was pushed into Galen's ward instead. At this moment, I finally realized that everything tonight was a trap set by Galen, and he went to so much trouble just to have time to be alone with me. I asked him with a mocking smile, "Is it worth it?" Galen, whose 2 ribs were broken, smiled at me with red eyes, looking embarrassed. Then he said to me word by word in a hoarse voice, "Megan, I miss you so much. I miss you so much that I'm almost going crazy." When the doctor came in to treat Galen's injuries, I saw the tattoo on his chest. The sun, the moon, and the stars. This was a picture of a family of 3 that I designed myself when I was pregnant. I remember Galen's simple comment on this picture. "The moon, do you even deserve it?" In the ward, while Joseph was sent away, Galen walked up to me and grabbed my wrist tightly, refusing to let go. "Megan, I want to apologize to you in person. I'm sorry, wife. It's all my fault. I will try my best to make up for you. I just hope you can forgive me." Before I could speak, his phone rang at the right moment. It was Nina calling. When he answered the phone, Galen didn't hesitate to turn on the speakerphone. "Brother Galen. Help, Brother Galen." The assistant suddenly broke into the apartment with several people. "They took me to the hospital. The baby. They want to abort our baby." Hearing Nina's heartrending cry for help, Galen didn't even frown and just smiled at me. "Nina, I already know about you drugging me that day. This child must not be kept. Also, I've already had someone delete those slanderous posts on the internet that said the wife of Galen's group was infertile. The price for slandering my wife is that the doctor won't give you anesthesia during the operation later, and you won't be able to have children anymore. After holding my breath for several seconds, Nina, who was crying out of breath, stammered and began to plead with him through the phone. Mr. Galen, Mr. Galen. I was just confused for a moment. I didn't mean it. You can punish me however you want. I beg you. Please spare our child. Hearing Nina's sudden terrifying scream, I instinctively frowned and blinked. Seeing the change in my expression, Galen immediately hung up the phone. He took my hand and gently placed it on his cheek. Galen, whose face was extremely pale, said to me affectionately, Megan, I'll have them send the operation video later, after you watch it with your own eyes. Can you forgive me a little? Even if it's just a little bit. It's fine. I pulled back my dirty hand and looked at the man who was instantly disappointed. I said to him indifferently, the psychiatric department of this hospital is very famous. You should go and register immediately. Galen smiled weakly at me. Okay, I'll do as you say. Galen thought that in the past 9 years, he owed me countless things. But it doesn't matter. He, who has realized his mistake, will definitely try his best to make up for all the debts he owes me with the rest of his life. Just 3 days after he had this thought, Joseph and I held a grand wedding. When Galen heard the news and drove recklessly to the scene, the gray-haired pastor had just finished reading the wedding vows. Galen heard me, wearing a white wedding dress, smiling and saying those 3 words to Joseph. I do. No, Megan, you can't marry him. His heart ached so much that his whole body knelt on the bright red carpet like an electric shock. Mr. Galen, who was usually indifferent and self-controlled, kneeled on his knees and begged me hoarsely, Wife, we won't get a divorce. I never thought of divorcing you. I beg you not to marry another man. Looking at him with undisguised disgust, I said to him condescendingly, Galen, for the sake of the congratulatory red envelope that Galen's grandfather gave me, I can barely forgive your unreasonable behavior of interrupting my wedding. But you are not welcome at my wedding with Brother Joseph. Please go back where you came from. Hearing my heartless words, Galen's tears finally couldn't be controlled and flowed down. Megan, I really know I was wrong. As long as you are willing to give me one last chance, I swear I will change. I can't accept a life without you. Since you left, I think of you every day, and even in my dreams, I think of all the good things you did for me. Megan, I love you. I love you more than anyone else. He recklessly declared his surging love in public. Galen was so emotional that the veins on his forehead popped out. He tore open his black shirt and pointed at the moon tattoo that was still bleeding, his eyes full of blood. You are my moon. Wife, I will promise you anything you want. I just beg you not to leave me. Pfft. Seeing that I was unmoved and even laughed with my hand covering my mouth, Galen was stunned. I met his lost eyes and said calmly, Galen, I already have someone who really loves me and whom I love. He is my husband, Joseph. As for you, even if all the men in the world are dead, it's impossible for me to be with you. I watched as I happily accepted Joseph, whose ears were red, and he firmly put a 9-carat diamond ring on my ring finger. Galen felt as if all the blood in his body had turned to ice. When I held Joseph's hand and passed by Galen, I happily let Joseph hold me like a princess and walked towards the honeymoon car outside the church. Galen, who was left behind by me, suddenly did a terrifying thing that no one expected. He grabbed the silver-white long knife for cutting the cake and roared at me with blood and tears in his eyes. You're just afraid of getting hurt again. But it doesn't matter. I'll show you my sincere heart now. He stabbed the long knife into his chest, and Galen trembled in excruciating pain. Look, Megan, my heart loves you all the time. Megan, I beg you to turn around and take a look at my sincere heart. Hearing Galen's extremely humble cries, I snuggled up to Joseph without looking back and said coquettishly, Husband, the scumbag is so scary. Take me away quickly. Joseph strode out of the church and gently placed me in the passenger seat of the sports car. Wife, let's elope. Okay. The little girl is picky about food. The 3 meals a day in the future should not be repeated. I let him step on the gas pedal and take me towards true happiness. The end.